If you're at home struggling with this balance and you have this life that on one hand is really beautiful and fulfilling, but on the other hand is leaving you feeling like you're never caught up, just to have another place to go for a little commiseration, a little inspiration, a little pep talk.
I like too that you acknowledge the fact, and we talk about this a lot too, that there's no one right way. I mean,
No.
this book is give you lots of ideas and things that other people have done, but there isn't one way. Like we've said, Katie and I talk all the time about the fact that there's no one way to farm. There's no one doing
Mm-hmm.
it right, and that all the rest of us are doing it wrong. Like farms are
Right.
different for millions of different kinds of, and so is parenting. We all have different
Mm-hmm.
kids and we all have different lives, and there's no one way to do this, but the right way to do it is to support each other and
Yeah.
to, when we can, in a way
Mm-hmm.
that's helpful to the other person, right? I talk about with that with my kids all the time. It's only helpful if the other person wants your help. So if someone,
Right.
if we have things that we can share with people and they want our support or our advice, then we can share it. And if they're not ready to hear it or uninterested, then that's also okay.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Like that's that's the reality of having kids, is especially if you own your own business, is it costs money, and not just like for the diapers and the whatever, the crib or whatever you need. It's your time is real work. That's one of the things I really emphasize in this book. Parenting is real work. It's not a job in the sense that you're working for somebody else and you get paid, but it is literally work that if you don't do it, you have to pay someone to do it. And so if you acknowledge that on your part, whether you're the mom filling that role or whether you're co-parenting, which is something that some of the farmers in the book do, where they would do what I call tag team parenting and farming. So like one parent would be out on the fields in the morning and the other one with the kids, and then they would switch off at lunch. Whatever way you're doing it, there's always an adult doing the work of caring for the kids in those early years. And you have to plan for that. Yeah, I mean, my first piece of advice to anybody who's expecting a child, whether it's their first or a subsequent one, if they're also operating a farm, is what are you going to do to balance the new load? Are you going to hire another employee? Are you going to cut out a market? Like, don't expect that you can just add another child and carry the same load you were already carrying. Unless you had lots of free time, and then maybe you can. But that's not usually people's story going
Yeah, if
into
we're only
that
working at
situation.
80% capacity before, then okay, well,
Yeah, or
yeah,
even
you're
like 50%.
yeah.
If you were just drinking Mai Tais all afternoon, maybe you don't need to change anything. But that's not usually people's stories. What does that look like? Have a plan of. I almost think of it in my head as like building block pieces.